Welcome back. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. Or welcome if you just found here and didn't see my intro video first. Sorry if the audio is a little bit echoey in here. I'm currently filming in my kitchen because my kitchen table is the only place where there is any decent light. It's a very gloomy, rainy day here in Germany, and yeah, this is the best I can do, so hopefully it'll be okay. And today I want to share with you my Roman Szmal watercolours. So Roman Szmal is the brand which really got me into watercolours. I started painting with them maybe December last year when I got my first one. And since then, I've accumulated 67 colours to share with you today. I have far too many of these and I have no intention of stopping buying them. So I thought maybe before I get ahead of myself, I have other videos planned involving these paints. So I thought maybe it would be a good idea to just show you every colour that I have as of right now. And maybe this would be interesting to some people who are wondering which colours to purchase. So I was drawn to Roman Szmal because they, at the time that I was buying these, they only come in full pans, which is really nice because you have such a big space to dip your brush into, and they're so affordably priced, and they have some really interesting colours, so I'm looking forward to showing you all those. I wish I was one of those people who had like really good organization of their art supplies, but unfortunately this is what I have right now. So I have kind of most of my favorite colors, I guess you would say, in this palette here. Just put that there. And then I have my blues in these two little boxes. So this one contains sort of transparent blues and my dioxazine violet. And this one contains my granulating blues and a random orange and also a Prussian blue. See, this is what I mean. I just don't know. At several points I've thought about investing in better watercolor organization, but then I realized I'd just rather invest in more paints. And this is just a box that some of them came in when I ordered them one time. I think it's an old White Nights box or something. But yeah, so here is a bunch of colors, a couple of my new ones, and then a lot of warm colors that I was buying to test out, because really what got me into watercolor was learning about all the pigments that people use in paints and wanting to try all of them out and see their different qualities and find ones which suit what I like to paint, which I don't even know yet. Like I said, we're on this journey together. Oops. So yeah, I'm going to get myself all set up and I'm just going to start swatching. I don't know if I'm going to chat through this or if I'm just going to speed it up and put some music or how it's going to work out yet. I have no plan. I'm going to give all of them a little spritz with this water spray off camera, and then we'll get started. Probably start with the yellows and then move onwards, and I'll tell you a little bit about all of them and my experiences. If you happen to have a cup of tea on hand, like me, then feel free to bring a cup of tea. It might be a long one, but what is there else to do on a rainy Saturday morning? So thank you for joining me, and let's get started. As I said, at my last count, I have 67 of these paints, which is an awful lot. So I've made my swatch grid a little bit smaller, so I only need to have 2 pages because having any more than that, I didn't have the patience to rule it out. But yeah, so I've ruled this out on Canson XL watercolor paper. It's just, it's cheap and cheerful, and certainly does the job for showing you the colors, and it's not too bad. Generally speaking, this one's a little bit grubby, but I don't think it will matter. And I'm going to be using this Da Vinci Spin Synthetics quill brush in a size 1. I love this thing just for swatching. Oh god, excuse my hands. I'm a climber and my hands are never beautiful. But yeah, so that's what I'll be using, and I'm just going to get started. So the first color, let me grab this to show you. The first colour is this nickel titanate yellow. I think it's PY53, that's the pigment number. So for those of you who are maybe somewhat uninitiated, the pigment number is like a standardized way to refer to the chemical that is used to make the color that's like actually the color of the paint. So when you look between brands, sometimes the colors have different names, but if you can look for the same pigment number, you know that you should be getting a similar color most of the time, with some exceptions. We'll probably get to those later. But this is a super creamy, lemony yellow, and I bought this just because it's a really pretty color, but it's pretty opaque. So I haven't really figured out how I want to use opaque watercolors yet, but I'm sure I will at some point, and this one is really, really beautiful. All right, I just grabbed some kitchen paper so I can dry off my brush a little bit. So next color, this one is a little bit contaminated. I think it's okay. This is the problem with yellows, you know, they always get so messy. So this is Aquarius yellow. So this is one of the colors which Roman Szmal, who's an artist from Poland who made this brand of paints. So it's quite normal for brands to name some of their colors, like you see like Winsor & Newton have Windsor red and Windsor purple and stuff like this. So brands, when they have a color they particularly like, they tend to name it after themselves, so or the line. So this is Aquarius yellow. It's a lovely clear lemon yellow, a little bit warmer than some lemon yellows I've seen, but it is a really nice, super transparent, very useful color. And then next we have Hansa yellow medium, which is just the most gorgeous sunflower yellow. And I'll write all these names down at the end and give you a close-up view so you can see all of the colors, but it's a little bit warmer than the Aquarius yellow, but it's just the most transparent, beautiful hue. And it's a PY74, which is the pigment that every brand uses for Hansa yellow medium as far as I can tell, but I love it for sure. And then next up we have cadmium yellow deep, I think. So this color is, cadmium colors they tend to be a little bit expensive, but this wasn't too much, I don't think. They also tend to be really opaque, and this one is super pigmented, and I absolutely love the color of it, but I don't find myself using it because, like the nickel titanate yellow, it's just a little bit on the opaque side. Makes it quite hard to mix with other colors and to layer, but I'm sure one day I'll figure it out. And I do love the color, so it can stay around. And then up next is a favorite from a lot of artists, I think. This is nickel azo yellow, super transparent, really glows off the page. PY150, really beautiful mixing color, just absolutely gorgeous gradient from this sort of ochre yellow at the top down to this sort of sunflower yellow at the bottom. Really, it's just such a versatile color. I think it's very easy to choose this if you wanted just like a one yellow in your palette, because it mixes so well with everything else. But in the pan, as you can see, it looks almost brown because it's so dense and transparent. I find that transparent pigments often look really dark in the pan and then much brighter on the paper, which is quite exciting. I'm such a nerd. Anyway, up next is a newer color to me. I haven't used it much because I don't really know how I want to use warm yellows yet. But this is isoindolinone yellow deep, PY110. So this is almost an orange, I'd say. It's like a golden orange. Really pretty color. I've tried some mixes with it, but I think it's also maybe a little bit on the opaque side. But nowhere near as much as the cadmium, but I'm just not sure how to mix with it yet, but we'll figure it out because I really love this color. I bought it instead of Hansa Yellow Deep, which a lot of people use. I think that's PY65. This is PY110. So yeah, it's an interesting colour for sure. I'm looking forward to working out what I'm going to do with it. And then I'm not sure whether to go into earth yellows or move into the oranges. I think I'll go into oranges and we can do the earth yellows when we get to the browns. So this is transparent pyrrole orange. Just the most gorgeous transparent orange. says it on the tin. It's a really true orange, I'd say. This isn't very, it's not yellowy, it's not reddish, it's just a beautiful orange. Maybe it's not super fluorescent vibrant. It's just a really nice natural tone of orange you can use for painting a lot of different things. And then next we have Aquarius orange. So this is again one of those paints which Roman Szmal chose to be sort of a flagship for the Aquarius line. And it is really, truly stunning. It's a little bit more reddish than transparent pyrrole orange, but absolutely just an absolutely beautiful color. This was one of the first colors I bought from this brand because I was so drawn to the vibrancy of this color. And I think it's so versatile as well. It mixes beautiful deep browns and grays with transparent blues and greens. I'm sure I'll do a mixing video at some point, and you'll be able to see. So I think that's where my oranges end. Oh wait, no, it's not. It's not, because you remember this orange comes back to bite me. This is one of my newest oranges. This is benzimidazolone orange, I believe, PO36. So I don't have much experience with this color. I'm still learning, but I know it is. When you put it on the paper, it's maybe a little bit more muted than the Aquarius orange. But again, with that sort of reddish tone, and it really dilutes beautifully. Maybe a little bit less transparent than the Aquarius orange as well, because you can see here maybe that it just really glows off of the paper, whereas this one is a little bit more dull, which tends to be a property of the opaque pigments. Okay, so moving on to the reds, I'll start with this. I believe this is Scarlet Lake. I have to put something on the screen if I'm wrong about that. But this is my, I'm on a bit of a quest to find the ideal warm red, one that isn't too pink and isn't too orangey. And I thought that maybe the pyrrole orange, not transparent pyrrole orange, but the regular pyrrole orange, would have been a good pigment to go for, because I really love it. I'm looking for that vermilion color, and this is just a little bit on the pink side. It doesn't lay so flat on this paper, but when you dilute it out, you get sort of more of a warm rosy pink rather than that sort of peachy pink that you get when you dilute a true cool red, which is what I'm looking for. And this paint's nice, but I don't know, I don't necessarily enjoy this color so much right now. Maybe I'll grow into it. You know, sometimes you get colors and then you don't like them, and a year later you wonder what your problem was. But this is one of my favorite reds. It might actually be my favorite red that I own, and it is quinacridone Scarlet. And I don't think this even has a pigment number as of right now, but it's really a true, it's a true red, but it's a little bit muted, and it just washes out as almost like this. It's a little bit gruesome, but it's a bit of a blood red kind of color, but like a bright red, not a dark red. And I think this is so unique. I haven't seen another color quite like this before, and I think it's absolutely stunning. Now, let me try and identify my next color. I think I'll go for Perylene red. So I describe this as being probably just a little bit on the pink side of postbox red. It's really pretty, absolutely stunning, sort of poppy red. And I bought this to compare it with the next colour, which is also one of the colours that I bought first from them. I was thinking of doing a video sort of describing the order in which I bought these paints, because I think it's kind of interesting to see the thought process of how I got into watercolours and how I got a little bit obsessed with buying them. But you can see this one is very similar. This is Aquarius red. And I'd say it's almost identical to the Perylene in terms of tone, maybe a little bit cooler, a bit pinker. And maybe when it dries, I think it's a little bit less vibrant, but well, we'll be able to see together once they're dry, won't we? Just checking I haven't missed any. This is the problem. I have my eye on one of these stacking palettes that Studio of MM sells. She's in Canada. She has a YouTube channel. She makes really cool stuff with her 3D printer, but I just haven't got around to it yet. And I think that shipping to Germany would be kind of annoying because customs is so bad here. But anyway, moving into the dark reds, we have dark cadmium red. And this is truly, I mean, it's a stunning color for sure. It's got that thing again, it's being a cadmium color where it's very opaque. It's almost like gouache or something in the mass tone, and it washes out to this sort of super, I don't know, like I said, a little bit gruesome, but it just really does look like a blood stain or something. But this one also has a bit of texture in it, a little bit of granulation. I guess we'll be able to see which colours show granulation, but granulating reds are quite hard to come by, and this is certainly heading in that direction, which I absolutely adore. I can already tell you that I've already forgotten a colour that should have gone here, and it was the quinacridone gold, but I guess it can come later with the with the earth yellows, and we'll pretend it didn't happen. Like I say, this is what happens when you go into a video with no planning. But yes. Up next, so we had Perylene red, and now this is Perylene maroon. So a similar chemical structure, I assume. I bought this alongside the dark cadmium red, I think, just because I was intrigued by which sort of maroon color I would like best. But I think this is by far my favorite, at least as it is when it's wet, because it's so much more transparent, and this same sort of beautiful maroon color that is just absolutely, I keep saying it, but it's absolutely stunning. I could really look at these all day. I could just sit here and swatch my colors until they're all used up, and I would be perfectly happy with my life choices. Anyone else, or am I just let me know in the comments if you also are like that, or whether I'm just the crazy one. So I think that's it for the reds, and I will move now into the violet section. These are not going to be necessarily in color order because I don't know, basically. Wait. No, I missed one. That was close. Because it looks so dark in the pan. But I have this permanent alizarin crimson, which is one of my only pink colors. I'm not really a big pink person, not because I don't like the color, I just don't really know how to use it. But this was my attempt at finding a warm red that I would like, and I do like the mixes it makes, but I as a color itself, I don't know, it doesn't call to me. But yeah, again, I almost missed it because it looks so deep in the pan that where the water is added, it's really bright, and then outside of that, it really looks like a brown. It's also why I missed the quinacridone gold. We'll get to them all eventually. None of them will escape me. And then while we're talking about pinks, I also bought this quinacridone cherry. I think quinacridone cherry red or something. I think it says quinacridone coral in a lot of brands, and it's this sort of super vibrant, almost highlighter pink. really struggling to use this. I made a series of abstracts recently just using this color, partially just to try and use it up because I'm, tired of having it in my collection and not knowing what to do with it. And I'm still trying to find my way with this one, but I don't know. Maybe it's just not for me. It can just stay here, and I'm sure it will show its usefulness at some point. If you have a love for this color and you know how you want to use it, then let me know. Maybe I can try it out. And then the last pink color I have is this Potter's Pink. So Potter's Pink is really well known for being a color that's very difficult to re-wet, but I find that the Roman Szmal one is really quite friendly in that sense. A very muted pink, but this one is a little bit less brown than some of the other brands I've seen, and it has really beautiful granulation when it dries. I don't know if it will show so well on this paper, but we'll see at the end. I think I'm gonna have to take a sip of this tea. Not used to talking for so long. But yes. So that's sort of my collection of reds and of yellows, oranges and reds, apart from the quinacridone gold, but that can come later. I mean, it's a very earthy yellow anyway. So moving on to the purples, I'm not 100% sure how to do this, but maybe I'll start with quinacridone violet, which is another recent purchase for me, trying to branch out a little bit from my comfort colors. And this is absolutely, it really makes your eyes hurt a little bit if you're not expecting it. It's a very vibrant magenta-y purple color, but when you wash it out, it's really weird. It's like there's a little bit of like a blue, like it reflects blue a little bit. It's a really insane development when you paint this and then when it dries. But I'm still on the fence, but maybe one day I will find a scenario where I really love this color. And then a third one in the Perylene series. This is Perylene Violet. I think this is my ideal purple. I really love these warm, muted, dark purples, plum purples. So much more than the blue violets, with a few exceptions. But this color is just the ideal of a purple as far as I'm concerned. Whenever I'm looking for a purple in any other art supply, I'm looking for this color every time. So should we keep going with the deep purples then? So this is another very deep purple. This is the first color that we'll have, which is actually a mixture of two pigments. So this is the Roman Szmal's Mineral Violet, and it's a mixture of PV19, which is a quinacridone red or a quinacridone violet, I don't know which version they used, and an ultramarine blue. So this color, if you add a little bit of water to it, it tends to separate as it dries because the ultramarine is very granulating and very heavy, and it sort of settles into the texture of the paper, and then the pinker quinacridone color sort of flows into the empty spaces and you get this really interesting effect. I don't know if it's going to do it today, but maybe we'll see. And then this looks like an absolutely black watercolor pan is the dioxazine purple. I think this is PV37, which I think is a different pigment to a lot of brands who use a different color for their dioxazine purple, but this is another new one, and it really is just a very true deep purple, washes out to this sort of lilac-y violet color, which I think this is amazing for mixing as well. A lot of people say that, you can just get primary colors and mix all of your secondary colors, but I think getting a pure, non-separating, warm, like cool bluish purple like this is actually quite hard. because I think you have to use an ultramarine or something, which means that you get this separating. This is separating beautifully, by the way. I can't wait for this to dry. So next on the purples, let me think. I've got this manganese violet. So this is a PV16, I want to say. And it's another granulating colour. Really pretty, warmer purple. More of a sort of a wisteria purple, but I absolutely love how intense this colour is for a granulating colour. Sometimes they can be a little bit weak, but this one is really stunning. Absolutely. I don't use it very much because, like I said, these types of purples I find quite difficult, but I do love the shade. But it doesn't really compare to my favourite granulating purple, which is this ultramarine violet, which is the more bluer version. And these colours, I guess a lot of people would argue, are quite similar. But I think that there is no competition. When it comes to between these two, this one wins every time for me. I really think that colour preference is such an interesting topic, because if you think about it, we're all born with basically the same brain, right? But somewhere along the way, we all diverge and find our own preferences. And no one can really predict which colours people are gonna like. So this colour is the first colour I ever bought from Roman Szmal. I got this with I asked my mum for some money to spend at Peter's Art in Berlin for my birthday. Not for my birthday, what am I saying? For Christmas. And I bought this colour. This colour is Misty Morning, which I just think is the most beautiful name for a colour. I hope you can't hear my fridge in the background. It's just the realities of life, huh? But it goes down as this beautiful, well, misty grey blue. But as it dries, because it's made of a cobalt teal PG50, and then the PV19, like we saw in the mineral violet, that it also has this beautiful separation into the more green granulation and then the pink wash as it dries, which is really just so stunning to me. And then I think I'll probably go from there into deep blues and start at that end, because I don't have anything really in between there, I don't think. So we'll start with this Indian Throne blue here. Gosh, this tin is a mess, isn't it? I really need to sort myself out. So Indian Throne blue PB60 is a classic colour, most brands have it. This one is maybe a little bit on the green side for me. I really love a warm blue. I'm not the biggest fan of cool blues though. I'm trying to learn. I'd love to love every colour the same. But it is a beautiful, deep, intense colour. I have a feeling that it tends to lighten a little bit as it dries. But I think that is just a colour preference situation, I think, sometimes. But if I was going to replace this, I might not buy the Roman Szmal one again. I might instead get the Daniel Smith one, because I got a dot card from Daniel Smith. And their Indian Throne blue was so, just as far as I'm concerned, just so beautiful. They are perfect Indian Throne blue. So I think if I got this again, I would buy a tube of that and squeeze it into a pan. And up next, the colour I've used the most out of all of my paints. You can really see the side of the pan here. I go through this so quickly. This is my French Ultramarine, which is a staple in many people's palettes, but I don't know if every artist really loves it so much. But this is, as far as I'm concerned, the platonic ideal of a colour. Just look at that. It's stunning. It granulates. It has this perfect shade of blue that is like, just, if you imagine blue, if I imagine blue, this is what I imagine. This is just, I would take a bath in this colour. I can't imagine not liking it. Maybe me in a few years will be like, what was I thinking? It's really not that great, you know. But I've also been trying to get into enjoying other shades of blue a little bit more, but still this remains my favourite. And I actually do think that the Roman Szmal one is one of my favourites I've tried so far. So going into the tin of mystery here, the miscellaneous blue here is the Prussian blue, which is another relatively new purchase for me. But it is an absolutely gorgeous, like, inky blue in the mass tone. And then it washes out to this lovely greenish sea blue. And this is also a very historical colour. You know, you find Prussian blue, PB27, under the names of like Iron blue, Antwerp blue, Berlin blue, Paris blue. Seems like every city has at some point claimed the name of this colour, and it is absolutely beautiful. It mixes the most beautiful greens, especially with Nicolazo yellow. It makes like a really true hooker's green, which is actually the mix that Roman Szmal uses for their hooker's green, and I have it and I will swatch it for you probably on the next page. So maybe I'll make this a two-part video because I think this is getting quite long now. But to finish, continue with the blues, so this is Phthalo Blue Red shade. I bought this first because I have a feeling that I just prefer warmer blues over cooler blues, but even for a red shade it's already pretty cool to me. But I do absolutely love this color. I really love it for mixing. I think that this might be one of the most versatile blues for mixing. Everyone, you know, you always see people say that phthalo blue green shade is the most versatile, like in a palette essential for them. But I think that you could probably replace ultramarine and phthalo blue green shade with phthalo blue red shade if you were really looking to go minimalist, because I think it mixes both greens and purples so nicely. The only thing that you're missing is then the granulation from the ultramarine, but some people don't like that. Some people don't like a granulating colour. So this is phthalo blue green shade, just for a direct comparison. And you can see it's a lot more tropical blue. It's a really deep mass tone, very powerful colour. I'm always so afraid of getting this on anything, like my hands or whatever, because it stains so badly. One time I went out for dinner and my friend was like, "Is that paint on your face?" And it was phthalo blue green shade, because it just never comes off. Never ever. So use at your own risk, but it's a really lovely quality paint. It's a really, every brand I think does a really nice phthalo blue green shade, but I just prefer this red shade. You know, this looks quite turquoisey compared to the ultramarine, but next to the green shade it really looks very red shade indeed. So I'm on team red shade. But so moving on to staying within the deep blues now, I'm going to move on to my granulating blues and start with Cobalt Blue Deep, PB74. So this is like the cobalt colours are so expensive, which is a little bit off-putting, honestly. But this colour is absolutely stunning. It is a very, very warm blue shade, and it dries a lot deeper than it goes on the page. It's kind of milky when you wet it in the pan. I know some people say this is a sign of fillers or something in the paint, but I truly don't believe that there's fillers in this. I think it's just the nature of the pigment and making it easy to re-wet, because cobalt colours can be really hard to re-wet. But when it dries, you'll see that it goes a lot darker than it looks right now. By the way this mineral violet has dried is absolutely amazing. I love the evolution of these two pigment granulating colours as they dry. It's really one of the things that got me into watercolour after I was put off it by how fussy it can be sometimes. And then the next colour is also a cobalt colour. I've been collecting all the cobalt colours because I want to learn what the differences are and find which ones I like best. So the next one is just regular cobalt blue PB28. And it's really nice. It's like a cornflower blue, I want to say. And it also has like all of the cobalt colours have amazing granulation, so much texture. They're really good to mix with because they just create these shades that you wouldn't expect. Moving on, we have Aquarius cobalt blue, which is an unusual pigment. It's PB72, I think, whereas most cobalts haven't seen this pigment in many other brands. It's quite a greenish, more of a cerulean kind of colour. I don't love this so much. It reminds me of a cerulean, a PB36. But I'm gonna buy that pigment next, and we can do a side by side and see exactly which one is better, because I hate to judge before I know. And then to follow that up with my current favourite light cobalt blue is PB35 cobalt. Well, a lot of brands call this like cerulean blue red shade or something like this. But this is cobalt Ceylon blue, according to Roman Szmal. And this is really just the ideal sky colour, but it does have that texture which a lot of people don't like to have in their skies, because you know the sky isn't grainy usually. So that's sort of almost there for what I would want to put on one page with the blues, because I think then we really move into the turquoise colours. However, there is one more colour that I wanted to add that I've completely forgot about, and it's this. It's hard to categorise this one. It's shadow violet. But when you look in the pan, it looks really green. Like you wouldn't call that a violet colour when you see it in the pan. But when you swatch it out, it sort of goes down this. It goes down as this green colour, but it's a mixture of 3 pigments, I think. It's PG18, which is Viridian. And then I think there's another, I think it's got PV19 in it again. And I think something else. I'll make sure to put that information on the sheet in the end. But when it dries, it really settles into this violet colour. You can see why they called it that in the end, but just have to have some faith in the meantime. But yes, thank you for staying with me for all of this. Look at these. This is just not so inspiring. And I'm going to wait for these to dry, put the labels on, and then I'll come back and give you a close-up. Okay, I'm back. So the paints have mostly dried and I've labelled them. Sorry if my handwriting isn't is a little obscure, but I'll just give you a quick close-up so you can pause the video at any point and have a look at any which you particularly fall in love with. I could really do this all day. Like I really just love looking at all of these different colors, and I have absolutely no regrets about owning all of them. This just, it absolutely blows my mind. This color is so beautiful. I feel like maybe I'm being a little bit mean to the Benzimidazolone orange when I bought this in my quest because the Scarlet Lake to me is a little bit too red and the Benzimidazolone orange is a little bit too orange, and I was looking for a color that was the perfect vermilion that was in the middle, and I think that it would have been the Pyrrole orange, but it's like a pigment that's been discontinued, so I guess that's that. But the hunt continues. Maybe I know they're releasing new colors this year, so maybe they'll release my perfect vermilion color and my quest can end. But thank you for joining me for this part. I'm going to move on because we are nowhere near done. you know, as you can see, there's plenty more paints in here that we have not looked at yet. I have another page set up, so I will see you in the next part. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments your favorite colors from this sheet, or any recommendations that you have, or maybe even if you just want to let me know that I'm an absolutely crazy lady who shouldn't spend so much money on paint. It won't change anything, but you know, maybe gradually it would get into my head. Thank you, and yeah, see you next time.